Hi everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you to the Women at Tech YouTube channel. Women at Tech is on a mission to help women pursue their dream careers. And today we have with us Yijie Yin, who started her journey by pursuing BA honors in natural science at the University of Cambridge. She later specialized in neuroscience and neurobiology. Yijie has an extensive research experience in the field of neuroscience, and she's currently applying for PhD opportunities in the field. We are very happy to welcome Yijie. Hello, Yijie.
Hello.
So, can you describe your childhood experience and how it had an influence in your choice of bachelor studies in natural science?
Yeah. So I guess growing up and also choosing the field to specialize is like a process of gradually narrowing down the focus. So I think initially I preferred the sciences, like during my primary school, secondary school, high school, um, because I guess for me it's more tractable. And also like the answers when they're right. Like you know the exact what you should say. And then later, I think I got interested in neuroscience because of some documentaries on like psychology or on brains or like how much we already know or how much we don't yet know about the brain. So that's what got me more interested into in kind of the psychology neuroscience kind of field. And I think for some time I was also interested in micro expressions, which are like normal expressions, but like not, for example, doesn't last as long or isn't as fully expressive. So from the combination of those two things, I later decided that I want to study brains for my undergraduate.
So, when you decided your course, was there any influence from your family or your parents, to actually discover these documentaries and actually explore the field of psychology? Yeah.
Well, I think so, yes, because they, I guess, created this environment for me to feel free to explore my interests and also to watch the documentaries. Yeah, so I think it was like a beneficial family environment to grow up in.
Okay. And you said you talked about the six micro expressions. Can you explain a bit more about what are they and
Yeah,
how it actually influenced your interest for the human brain? Yeah.
yeah. So the researcher's name is Paul Ekman, I think, and he said there were like six emotions that are universal for all humans. The difference between those, I guess, emotions and also expressions and micro expressions is that micro expression can, for example, last for less than a second. And it can, for example, if happiness, like it's like full on, like full face happiness is like this, then maybe partial happiness is like this. So
Okay.
like it happens when I guess when someone's kind of partially feeling something, or maybe someone's kind of trying to conceal that kind of emotion that they're currently feeling, etc. So before my undergraduate, I bought a book written by this scientist, and I think like from there I kind of got more insights into the I guess how you go about conducting experiments, and also more knowledge on, for example, human emotions or like how to measure things. And yeah, so I think what I learned from that book, and also in general about kind of the experiments that scientists do, I think they were helpful for me for kind of getting to know what science is like. Uh, and also, I guess it was useful for the interview because it shows that I am genuinely interested in the field that I want to pursue, and that I can kind of explain what I know to people about these things.
So you decided to join University of Cambridge. So Can you explain like how you made the choice of going to University of Cambridge to study the specialization of neuroscience and neurobiology? Did you look out for other options, and how did you choose your university? Yeah.
Yeah. So I did most of my education in China. So I finished my high school in China, and I did the kind of the typical Chinese college entrance exam. So at the time, I could have actually gone to a Chinese university, but also at the same time, I got an offer for like a UCL foundation year, which kind of bridges the gap between I guess, overseas high schools and British universities. It's kind of intended as a place for, like, for example, learning English, and also learning maths and biology in English, and also kind of getting used to the university system uh, kind of curriculum. So at the time, like it was very difficult for me and my family to decide which one I should go for, because the one at home is more it's like safer. It's, it's in China. We roughly know what's gonna happen, and it doesn't cost as much. Whereas the one in the UK, firstly, it will cost more, and also I'm going to be living alone by myself for the first time, because when I was at home, I didn't go to like boarding schools. I was always like next to my family. So this time it would be like me alone in a foreign country, don't really speak the language for like an entire year. So it was just like a safer option versus a riskier option. And in the end, we decided that I was going to go to UCL to do the foundation year. And through there, I applied for a few universities. And Cambridge was one of them. And I was lucky to be accepted. So.
That's amazing. So, your choice was based on, studying science in a prestigious university, and yeah, but that's great. Like you saw the rankings, I suppose, and then you saw, where would you get the best education for your interests, and then you made a choice.
Yeah.
So, what can you explain a bit about your specialization in the University of Cambridge, and what did you learn? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess my specialization in Cambridge was more of like a convoluted route as compared to many people. So when I started my degree, the psychological and behavioral sciences was actually really flexible. So I could choose like what I want to study for about half of my kind of my curriculum every year. And they have kind of collaborations with other departments, such that you can take courses from other departments. So in my first year, I actually took 2 philosophy courses in addition to psychology, and I really enjoyed philosophy. But
Okay.
my second year, I tried to be more neuroscience focused. So I took neurobiology in addition to the compulsory modules, but at the same time, I also like attended philosophy of science lectures, and also some computer science lectures. Yeah, so that was my second year, and then in my third year, I decided no, I want to be a pure neuroscientist. So that's when I changed my course from psychological and behavioral sciences to kind of natural sciences with a neuroscience focus, where I would study modules like neurocircuits and behavior, or like, as I said, molecular neurobiology. Yeah, so I think my kind of focus in the university was kind of it was like exploring and deciding what I eventually want to do, and what's beneficial for what I eventually want to do. Yeah.
Interesting. So can you explain the difference between, the neuroscience versus the neurobiology? You have done, is it two different specializations, or, what's different between, the
Uh,
two?
well, in my understanding, neuroscience is more like a general, broad kind of, whereas neurobiology is more like uh, I don't know, focused on biology. But in terms of the actual focuses, it's kind of part of the design for the course natural sciences. That in your third year you can choose where you want to specialize in. So, for example, you can specialize in pharmacology, or you can specialize in physics because that's also part of natural sciences. But basically, you have like a really wide range of choices in your third year to decide what you primarily want to focus on. And for the neuroscience, there were two. One was, I think, physiology, development, and neuroscience, and the other one was psychology, neuroscience, and behavior. So they also share some modules within themselves, but there are some differences. So basically, it's like a really wide range of choices with and every choice has like a wide combination of courses that you can choose again from. So yeah, that's the kind of specializations that you can choose in Cambridge.
So can you describe, how your skills in computing helped you in your career in neuroscience? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my career in neuroscience and my computing skills kind of progressed together next to each other. So to kind of improve my computing skills, I've basically actively signed up for some courses, online or in person. So, for example, LinkedIn courses or just other coding courses, or even not just courses, because if you want to learn programming these days, there are like lots and lots of free material online for you to start, and you don't have to pay anything to for example, learn how to code in Python or how to code in R, etc. So I think at the time I was kind of actively signing up and also finishing these courses. And in terms of how they've helped my career, I think it's helped me a lot in automating things. So, for example, in my first year summer internship, I was doing some image processing, which means that I have to kind of put images, I don't know, of different kind of molecules like together. So, for example, you'd have one image scanning like how much of this molecule is present in the sample, and you have another image that says how much is this other molecule present in the sample, and you have to put them together. And but then you have to adjust the contrast, etc., so that they are kind of more human friendly. So I a part of my internship was on that image processing, and then I realized that a part of it I can actually automate. So that's when I kind of actually started coding. I actually learned to learn a language that allows me to just click buttons really, really quickly. And I use that to automate my task, which actually saved me a lot of time. And that's also similar in my current job. Now, like coding is like a very, very integrated part of my research, such that a lot of things I have to use code. But in addition to that, I also, for example, design pipelines that just allows me to go through things really quickly as compared to before. So I think it's a really great way to automate things in general. And in addition, again, as I said, it's kind of essential in a lot of parts of research. For example, in my second year summer internship, we were using electroencephalography, which sounds complicated, but it's basically like electrodes on the head. Like you see those people wearing those caps with electrodes. And the idea is that you kind of try to extract electric signals from the brain, and you later analyze it. But because, for example, when you move your muscles, they also generate electric signals. They can mess up with the data. So later you have to use code to clean up the data that you collected. So I think it's very useful, and also an inherent part of research in many areas of research, I think.
It's really amazing to see how much computer science skills actually helps you even in natural science studies. And you gave a lot of examples, to clean the data, image processing, and that's very impressive. And it kind of shows also our audience that how even computer science skills can really help you in if you're in other fields. Um, so that's really good idea. So you had a lot of a volunteering experience, and can you describe any specific event that actually impacted your career choice? Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I think I got involved in volunteering after I became an undergraduate. So I joined the First Aid Society, which is actually part of a charity that kind of provides first aid for events. So through that, I actually got I guess got in. Well, I wouldn't say insights, but like I knew what I guess Western public events can be like, and also I guess I learned a lot in like working with other people and also communicating even to people who might not be in their best state of mind because, for example, they're in pain or etc. Um, yeah, so I think that was a very useful and interesting experience for me. In terms of how it impacted my career choice, I think it hasn't a lot because I've always wanted to do research. So it's just kind of a volunteering activity on the way. I'm still very focused on doing research.
Research. Okay. So you have a lot of research experience. So can you describe any specific research or project that you really liked working on?
Yeah. So um, again, my research path was like my undergraduate path. It was kind of like a road of exploring and figuring out what I want to do. So my first year undergraduate was actually working on addiction using rats, but
Okay.
using rats as a model to study addiction in
Okay.
general. That was
Okay.
my first year summer internship. My second year summer internship was consciousness in humans. So as I said,
Okay.
the EEG, the electrode
Okay.
measuring thing. And what I'm currently doing now is we're kind of generating a complete map of how the cells connect with each other in the brain for the fly. And we're using the fly because it's currently the biggest animal for whom you can do this like really high resolution mapping of like exactly which cell is connected to which cell and
Okay.
by how much.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that my current research is my favorite because I guess starting from psychology and starting from human brains, I'm really appreciating like how much we can see in the fly brain and like how detailed it is, and also like if there is a synapse, like if there is a connection between two cells, then there is a connection between two cells. It's like more factual and it's less kind of debate and like multiple factors, they all contribute. Whereas in flies, it's more like it either is or isn't, and you can actually see it in the pictures.
Okay.
And in addition, it's a comprehensive mapping as well. So basically, our data was generated by taking a brain and then slice it into about 40 nanometer thin slices, and then scanning those slices with electron microscope. So basically, we have like a really detailed mapping of the entire brain, which I really appreciate. Um,
Is there any specific, a part that you wish to study of the fly brain? Yeah.
yeah. So currently, we're building the map. I guess not only for our own group, but also for the whole community. Because previously you can only access, for example, which cell is connected to which cell by some genetic techniques, and you have to go by it like one step at a time. But with what we're doing now, basically you have a library, like you have like a lookup table. If you want to know which one is connected to which one, you just look it up. So that's what we're currently doing. And what I want to do, perhaps on a PhD on top of that, is that I want to look at how, like, why it is the way that it is. So I want to ask, given what we can see about how they connected to each other, what can I say about their function? So I
Okay.
basically want to link the structure of the nervous system with what it does.
Okay. That's really interesting. Okay. Yijie, what is your current job? And can you explain how you got the current job? Yeah.
Yeah. So my current job is a research assistant, which means that I don't know I assist in research, but it's like a way to gain more research experience in the relevant field that you eventually want to work in, and also it's a good opportunity to keep learning new skills even outside of your immediate research. For example, to improve on coding or to attend conferences, etc. So the how I got to know my current job was actually quite interesting. So after my undergraduate, I got a PhD offer at Cambridge, but as I said, I didn't have any funding. So then I asked my supervisor at the time, who is my current supervisor, that can I just work for you for free just to gain work experience? Like you don't have to pay me. Uh, uh, and because at the time I thought, that would still be better than a master's because with a master's, I have to pay to get experience, and it's not so much experience because you have like holidays, etc. Whereas if I was a research assistant, then it's like full time, research experience, and I don't have to pay the tuition fee. So that's what I thought, and that's what I asked him. And then he said, "Why don't you try this other person who recently got funding and is like regularly hiring research assistants?" Then I asked this person that he mentioned, who is my current supervisor, and that's how I got the research assistant job. So I think previously, like during my undergraduate, I didn't actually think of it as a possibility. And I guess later I realized that it's actually quite common for people to do research assistant jobs after, for example, undergraduate or masters. And I think they're typically advertised kind of closer to the start date, so like maybe a few months before the start date, as compared to graduate application, when, for example, you have to apply like a year in advance. So that I think it's actually kind of a nice backup plan because you get paid to do the research that you want to do, which I think is really nice. And I guess what you sacrifice a little may be the freedom of the research. So as a research assistant, it's more like it's more like you're doing the job that you're asked to do instead of you design your own project. But I guess that can depend on the particular supervisor that you have. I think sometimes you can have slightly more freedom, or you can have a side project on what you want to do, and obviously it will be good for everyone if it turns out to be something interesting. But yeah, so I think you sacrifice like a little research freedom in exchange for more research experience and also more learning opportunities. And I guess I also wanted to mention that I think like among my coursemates, a bigger proportion than I expected also actually didn't take like a very smooth progression of what you might imagine, for example, undergraduate and then immediately master's and immediately PhD, or maybe even undergraduate and then immediately PhD. I think I was expecting that everyone would end up doing this, and I'm the only person who's still doing a research assistant job. But I think it turned out to be not so much the case, and people might spend some time, for example, working in the industry to know what the industry is like and then come back to academia. Or maybe, for example, they might work as a research assistant, or they might do a master's and then maybe they want to move fields, so they do another master's. Then maybe they do a PhD. So I think like I didn't realize at the time, but there are actually all these different options that's also possible and that many people actually take. So yeah.
Very interesting. So you can be a research assistant before you start your PhD journey as well, and you get paid to be a research assistant, which would be a really interesting for our audience. So how did you decide? So I was curious to know that you shifted from an undergraduate to directly to a PhD.
Yeah, that's also dependent on the countries. So in the UK, and also it's dependent on the subject.
Okay.
So I think in the biological sciences, um, in the UK, you can just have an undergraduate degree and then go into a PhD. Uh, but obviously, if you just graduated from your undergraduate, you won't have as much research experience as compared to someone with a master's. Like naturally, it's less competitive. Like the CV will be slightly less competitive as compared to those with kind of more research experience or more degrees. But yes, technically, you can apply for a PhD with an undergraduate degree in the UK. I think in biological sciences, I don't know about other fields, but students can just go to the admissions website to check that. I think for the US as well, for majority, if not all the universities, you can just have an undergraduate and then move on to a PhD. Again, I don't know if this is field dependent. I think for the majority of universities in Europe, you have to have a master's to get a PhD. But nowadays, I think there are some institutions that don't require that. So yes, basically it's kind of institution, field, and country dependent.
And I
Yeah.
guess you had like a brilliant a profile of research and volunteering experience also. I hope that also added value for your PhD application, right?
Yeah. So in my understanding, I think obviously graduate schools will focus mostly on the research experience because ultimately you want to go there to do research. But also having some extracurricular experience just demonstrates that you kind of, in addition to research, you also have these other transferable skills, as they call it, like for example, teamwork, communication, project management, etc. Which you can show through the kind of the extracurricular activities. And also in addition, for example, for PhDs, what you do is you basically just do research with like a small group of people that's your supervisor and the people that he supervises. So when they look for applicants, they in addition to like your kind of research profile, etc., they also want to know like what you're like as a person. For example, if you have any hobbies, etc., and like what is it going to be like to be working with you, because they're going to be working with you for the next 3 or 4 years, and they want to make sure that you're someone that they can kind of hang around with.
Okay, that's really nice to know. Yeah, that extracurriculars and just knowing doing something outside of the curriculum activities or courses is also a very big value addition for your PhD. And that's very nice to know for our audience. And so at present, what is like the goal that you for yourself? What do you wish to do going forward?
Yeah. So um, as I've always wanted, I want to be a researcher, and I want to know more about the brain. And from my exploring of different kind of organisms and also different causes, I think I am very happy with the current organism because, as I said, it's kind of small enough to image, big enough to be complicated, and it's I guess a great new field to be working in. In terms of I guess my kind of closer goal will be to start a PhD, still working on the kind of the neural networks in fruit flies. And in addition, I want to explore like what does the wiring diagram mean in terms of the function uh, uh, for my PhD. And for the kind of the more distant future, I guess I would like to do a PhD and then perhaps a postdoc or two postdocs, and then I would start my lab and supervise students, etc. and keep researching on this field.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. I really wish for your that all your goals, come true, and yeah, you're able to learn more about the brain, and
Thank you.
contribute to research on the brain. Yeah.
Thank you.
Um, what is your driving factor, and now, and who has been your inspiration?
Yeah, so I think my driving factor, I think it depends, like it's different between people. But I think for me, my driving factor is that I would like to discover things and know more about the brain in general. And I think that was kind of one big reason why I chose research as a career. Because I feel that when you discover new knowledge, it's like it's kind of useful for the world. It's like useful for the entire world because everyone kind of can have access to this knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also it's kind of I guess it's something new. And I'm not just repeating some previous thing that has been done. Yeah, so I think my current supervisor is a great source of inspiration. So he's like really smart and really hardworking and also really nice. He's uh, uh, he's kind of like not only is he good with science, but he's also very kind towards the people that he supervises. Um, uh, and he also knows a lot about different fields. I really like him. I recommend him for anyone who may want to work in my area. His name is Greg Jeffries, and my group is Fly Connectomics Group at Cambridge. Yeah, so in general, I think he sometimes even if there is some setback in like for example my career or in the admin, I would think that that he's so nice to me. I can't just give up. Yeah, he's really
It's
great.
been
He's
amazing.
my
Yeah.
source of inspiration.
Okay. Really glad to, hear about what's your driving factor, and, who's been your inspiration. So what would you like to tell women who want to get into the field of neuroscience? Yeah.
Yeah, I think from my experience, I would say that even though it's nice that I've explored all these different fields, I think it would be really nice if you knew earlier what you want to do. And in addition to that, I guess another thing that I realized recently um, is that, for example, through LinkedIn or through just contacting people by email, many people like are kind of are actually closer to you than you think they are. So you can actually just reach out. I think actually academics are kind of closer than you think they are. So I think if people want to know more about what it's like to be a scientist or what it's like to do research in a particular field, or perhaps importantly, the kind of skills that you need to kind of to
Grow in
be
your career?
useful, be like very useful yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in that field. You can ask them these kind of questions, and I'm sure many people will be very happy to tell you. And then like I think it's good to start early, to start kind of looking out for opportunities to build up on those skills, so that when you eventually come to the time to apply, you can say that, look, I have done all of these things to prepare for what I want to do. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Yijie, and I'm really happy, that you decided to join this session. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Uh,
It was a
yeah.
very nice session.